If you need prayer or have questions, email Annamarie at 5minutesadayWithGod@gmail.com. Be sure to like and subscribe to our videos so that more people can hear the Word of God.
Good morning and welcome to Thursday. And I love this story. This is one of my favorite stories in Acts. And so we're going to jump right in. It's chapter 20 and 7 to 12. On the first day of the week, we came together to break bread. Paul spoke to the people, and because he intended to leave the next day, he kept on talking until midnight. There were many lamps in the upstairs room where we were meeting. Seated in a window was a young man named Eutychus, who was sinking into a deep sleep as Paul talked on and on. When he was sound asleep, he fell to the ground from the third story and was picked up dead. Paul went down, threw himself on the young man, and put his arms around him. "Don't be alarmed," he said. "He's alive." Then he went upstairs again and broke bread and ate. After talking until daylight, he left. The people took the young man home alive and were greatly comforted. Okay, this story is awesome. I love this story. There's so many. Luke is just such a great narrator. I just love him. All right, so here's some things that you need to know. Okay, so the service was super long. And maybe if you grew up, I'm just going to say that if you grew up Pentecostal, or especially like in a Spanish-speaking Pentecostal church, I didn't necessarily, but I went to those churches from time to time. And some of those services are really long, so maybe part of you can kind of relate from your childhood. And so, but I love how Luke says Paul talked on and on, right? So Paul had a lot to say. He was getting ready to leave. He maybe had to feel like he had to punch all of it in this one night. So he kept going. There probably wasn't any clocks on the wall to say, "Paul, let's wrap it up," right? And so he was just pouring out his heart to everything he needed to encourage this church. And then, so a couple other things you need to know. The lamps may have cut off some of the oxygen flow. So that's why they mentioned the lamp. So it might have cut off some of the oxygen flow. What we know about Eutychus is he was a lad sometime between ages 8 to 14. So commentators kind of tongue-in-cheek said maybe he had worked an extra shift that day, so he was really tired. The hilarious thing I learned about Eutychus is his name means good luck. So that's kind of funny. So here he is. Paul's going on and on and on. He falls asleep. He's leaning against the window. He falls out of the window, 3 stories down. He is dead. Like, Eutychus is gone, right? He's dead. And then Paul just, like, everyone races down. They outrun Paul, and they're like, "He's dead." And Paul's like, "It's okay." And he goes and he raises him from the dead. And then they have a midnight snack, and then Paul keeps preaching until daylight. So they're like, "This is great." And then let's eat, get some fortification. Now everyone's awake. And then Paul's like, "Wait, I still had more to tell you." All right, so the takeaway, it's a little tongue-in-cheek, but one of the commentators that I read was saying that the takeaway was, if you go to church, don't fall asleep, right? Especially don't be by a 3rd-story window. Or another tongue-in-cheek, you can go to my church, which is an hour service. But, and so the other one I was thinking was, don't skip church, right? Because you may miss out. Think about that person who didn't go, and the next day they're saying, "Wow, you should have been there. Eutychus, we saw him fall from the ground, from the sky, from the window, and I ran down there and he was dead." And then Paul just went and he rose him from the dead. Like, can you imagine being able to witness the power of the resurrection right there? I mean, that person who didn't make it to church that Sunday because they were a little tired missed out on what God was doing. But the other thing I have often wondered, like, why did Paul include this? I mean, why did Luke include the story, right? I mean, it definitely shows the power of God's healing power in raising him from the dead. But I don't know, maybe we just needed a little humor here in between. There's some deep chapters coming up with some persecution. Or maybe it's just to give us, a little giggle here. But I love this story, and just ask God, what's my takeaway? But yeah, don't miss out. Don't miss out on church, because things could be happening there, right? All right. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day. And remember, 5 minutes a day in the Word can change your life.